Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to do another retrograde problem where you have to set up the position on the screen in 4 moves exactly. That's 4 moves for each side. So if you want to give it a try, I recommend you really sit down and mess with it. It's a nice puzzle, it takes some time to get, and I'm going to kind of talk through how I did it. So let's set the board back up and just keep in mind the normal position. So one thing you notice is that this knight on b1 is gone, right? So you have to imagine this knight gets captured somewhere. And you also might notice that the knight on b8 is gone. Okay, so that knight has to go somewhere. And then the pawn on d6, and then the pawn on e7 is gone. Okay, so we just kind of notice these key pieces of the position and kind of start thinking about how to make it work. And I talked about this in my last retrograde video, but one of the things that helped me think about how to solve this is to think about the knight. Specifically, when it's an odd number of moves, so I'm starting on a light square, when it's an odd number of moves, I end up on a dark square. Even number, I end up on a light square. So for every odd number move, dark square, even number, light square. I can keep dancing like this, right? Okay, so remember, I have 4 moves. So that tells me something. So I have to start on this light square. So 4 moves means I'm going to have to end up 1, 2, 3, 4, right, on a light square. Okay, so that means I have to conclude my journey on a light square and then get captured by black's final move. Now that's a kind of a tough part, right? In my thinking about it, the first thing I was thinking is, maybe there's a way I can capture black's knight, and then I can have their knight come in and capture me, and that'll kind of do it. Now, of course, in this puzzle, the knight here is also gone, so it's like, well, how do I get it to capture me? But I have to capture it, so what's capturing me? Right? It gets kind of complicated. So really, it's a tough thing to figure out. So I thought, okay, let's look at the pawn. And I noticed that the pawn is here. I thought, okay, well, this pawn is gone, so maybe I have to capture this pawn, or maybe I capture on this square. So I thought, okay, let's do this. What if I went 1, 1, 2, 2, like that, right? And then I can essentially get this situation happening, where I can maybe have something like this. This is my thought, one of my first thoughts. And then I thought, it doesn't really work. Too many moves. Doesn't really make sense. I'm going to have to end on a light square. So here's a conclusion that is very logical. Black's final move, given the position, it's set up all normal except for some missing pieces, black's final move has to be a capture, right? Okay. How does that work? Well, it makes sense if you think about it like this. If I started here, and I went here, so c3, and let's say I was somehow able to capture you, so 1, 1, this is 2, here, let's do this. Oops, let's do it where it goes on the side. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and I thought 3, 4, 4. I was like, oh man, that's so close, right? It looks so much like the position. The knight is missing, their knight is missing. But then I thought, how would the queen ever get back? It doesn't have time. Because my knight has to land on a light square to end, which means that black has to capture on a light square. So then I just went back to the drawing board and I thought, well, which of these places, so all the light squares, this is where I'm going to end my journey. One of these squares, I'm going to end my journey. And I thought, okay, logically it can't be here because that rook is playing and the whole time it's there. Same thing goes for the bishop. Same thing goes for the king. And the pawns are all there, right? This pawn is there, this pawn is there. This pawn is not there, so I thought maybe I can do that. So I have 2 options. And I thought, okay, let's just see how that might work. And I thought, well, let's see here. I need to also get rid of this knight. So how would that work? So I would need to capture the knight somewhere in here and then land in such a way that they capture me. Well, that was the key insight. They have to capture me. And I thought, well, there are only 2 squares that I'm going to end on. So it's not going to be this square. It's going to have to be this square. And this is where the logical kind of deduction started. I thought, okay, I need to end up here. So I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm seeing that. That makes sense. Okay, now the question is, how do I make that work? So let me see here. I went 1, and then I was already like, okay, now what do I do? I'm black. What do I do? Well, I thought I can move this knight, but I don't really see how that's going to help me. That knight's supposed to stay here. So it didn't make sense. So I was okay, I'll move the pawn. 1, 1. And I thought 2. So okay, I'll go here. Try to see if I can capture. And then I thought I can get rid of this pawn. 3, 3. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. I need to end up on the 4th move. That's the problem. And then it kind of became clear to me the answer. And this is like your last chance that if you don't know the answer, take a second if you want. Think about it for one more second before you keep going. So I'm going to share the answer now. The way I got there, I realized that the knight has to end up on this square. What that means is I'm going to need to travel all the way across the board, but, not that way, all the way across the board, but this knight on b8 is going to have to take its place, right? If I end up on this square, right, if 1, 2, 3, 4, that means that black's final move is going to have to be capturing with their knight. And I said, okay, that's cool. Now what do I do with that information? And I thought, okay, there are only a couple paths. I need to get here in 3 moves. So 1, 2, nope, doesn't work. So it's not always represented this way. Obviously, you can't go that way. 1, 2, not the right arrow, but you get the picture. 2, and you can't go there. So I have to go to this square. 1, 2, 3. And then I was like, okay, now I'm seeing it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my 4 moves for black. I thought, okay, that makes the picture I want. Now what about white? 1, I can go 2, 3, 4. I thought that doesn't really work. And here it is. You have to capture that pawn because that pawn is gone. Okay, so here it is. 1, 1. And the reason why this is first and not the knight move is I have to go to this square next. 2, 2. Okay, I'm capturing this now. 3, and now this knight, right at the last moment, cycles in here. 3, 4, and 4. And that is the answer. How cool are these retrograde puzzles? These are so much fun. I've had so much fun with these 4-move little combinations. You have to figure out how this knight has to journey all the way over the board, and then this knight has to come into the rescue, and the pawn has to move. It's just so much fun. I'm really enjoying these retrograde puzzles, and I'm sharing it with you all, so that's great as well. But that is it for this video. If you like it, please consider subscribing on YouTube. Maybe like it on YouTube as well. And remember that half the income that I earn from this channel goes directly to charity, so that helps me out a lot as well. And that's it. Thanks so much. Bye.